I'm Aaron Givhan with Givhan Mitchell Realtors as well. Well, I cannot thank, Mr. King.
Hi, everybody. Mike King, Louisville Metro Government.
He snuck in on us. You got to watch him.
Right to the front.
You're the man. You're the man. Well, John, now I know there's some good things going on and challenging things, but come on and give us a little updates of what you guys are up to in the district.
Well, that'd be fit. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, John.
Again, glad to be here and thank y'all for inviting us into your meeting. I'll be brief. The good news is overall violent crime and property crime is down in the 5th division for now. So hope it stays there. However, our Kias and Hyundais are still being stolen because they're still easy to get. We still have a rather large inventory of steering wheel locks. They weren't designed, I don't think, for the Kias and Hyundais, but they're supposed to fit them real well, and they are free at the 5th division. I have 2 in my car if anyone would like to get one before they leave today. All you have to do is swing by the division over in Douglas Boulevard and sign one out. And that's just so we can track it for the folks who donated those. Again, I have to keep pounding on you. Lock your doors. Your cars are being left unlocked with things visible in the seats that are worth $20. One of our opportunists out there will take it because they can get $20 out of it. So put your laptops in your trunks, don't leave your purses out, and please lock your doors. The only other thing I'd like to say is for now, the bar detail is continuing, probably into the colder days. We're trying to maintain that as long as we can. It has had an impact. And I know you've heard about the street racing crackdowns. As of now, according to the detective sergeants I've talked to throughout the city, we've taken about 30 cars that are sitting on the lot. And thank you. Thanks to the council folks who enhanced our ordinance and put a lot more teeth in it. You probably heard about that too. That was a huge help. I believe the mayor on down, they're trying to expand it even more to crushing the vehicles. That's going to be difficult to get done. A lot of these guys, as you know, they're expensive cars. They're putting a lot of money in them and they owe money on them. So they got liens on them. That's going to be a little difficult. I don't know the legal aspects of that, but I mean, you gotta give him credit for trying, and he's behind us, and so is the council, and we do appreciate that support. We also appreciate your all support. Since I returned to the police department it'll be five years next month, I have seen the climate change, particularly here in the Highlands, and I can hardly go anywhere and walk into a restaurant, one of the fast food places, and someone usually buys my lunch, and I can't tell you, not that I'm out for a free lunch. It's knowing that you all like us, that you all support us that much. It means a lot to the cops. It really does, especially after what we've been through. So thank you all for that. And again, allowing us to be involved in your all's business, so to speak. We do appreciate that because the connection and the back and forth is very helpful to us. We need your eyes and ears because we can't be everywhere. And we are grateful for that. If y'all have any particular questions before I walk away, now's the time.
Did they say there was, I just read, it was like 2 different articles. The question was, I know they could possibly crush, but what the return policy, what is it?
Well, we can keep, as far as I know about it, we can keep the car 6 months. And I believe the same rules apply whether your car is towed for a parking violation or for street racing. To get it out, you must have proof of ownership, you must have a license to drive it out. You got to show you got insurance on it. So the guys that are spending a lot of money, people that are spending a lot of money on these expensive, what they call hot rods now, some of them don't have insurance because they can't afford it because those are expensive cars.
If you keep the car for 6 months, what does it cost to get it out? I hope there's a back.
Oh, there is. There's a fee. There sure is. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, it's not free. It certainly isn't free.
Very significant.
That'd be another way to approach it. Yes, sir. You're right. Yes, sir.
If they have a glass pack muffler or something like that, that intentionally raises the noise level of the standard. Get exciting for that. And
We still have the noise ordinance. And as far as I know, it hasn't changed past the 50 feet zone. which affects a lot more things than just loud mufflers. Of course, the businesses don't like them that are having loud music, but and I understand that. But when they enhance the sound of the car, you know, we got to catch them doing it. One goes down your street, please call in if you want to, but if they're go down the street one time, by the time that call gets to us, they're gone. But if they're hot dogging up down your street, do not hesitate. Call us. We need you to call us because we can't be everywhere. And we are monitoring social media all the time, trying to stay ahead of these gatherings. They're getting pretty sly. They're changing their license plates because they know now if we get your plate, an officer can go get your car, take it right out of your driveway. Yes, sir.
If you've got one, you seized one and it's got the enhancements on it, and you,
Oh, no, we cannot remove it. No, we can't.
and you cite
It'd be-
them, they drive away and say,
No, not just for added parts on their car. I don't believe we can. Yeah. Keep in mind when we tow it, you know, it's not running. We usually don't have the keys.
when they drive it away.
Oh, that'd be kind of sneaky, I guess. There's an idea. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking. But yeah, thank you all again very much. We appreciate y'all. And I tell all my young officers, try to tell them, the ones that'll listen. I'll ask them, who's your best friend? And they look a little puzzled and I go like this, your notebook. And then they go, oh yeah, I guess it is. But the young guys don't write down as much stuff as we used to. You know, they put it in their phone.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Where do we stand on installing more cameras on Bardstown Road and additional lighting? Is that work in progress?
It is a work in progress. I was hopeful Ben would come today. He's been very good about attending. I don't know if Mr. King has any, and all right. I will ask Ben but there is, I don't know how formal it is, but there has been a huge discussion. I'm not sure the formality, but increasing number of cameras is on the list. Nothing for, that's what I've been told.
And additional lighting?
Yeah, the lighting thing, if it's an LGE issue, maybe.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
I just have one quick comment. Ray's Highland and other people in here, Highland. We have signed a petition, 3 neighborhood associations to stop the latest bar staying open until 4 o'clock. We're requesting
That's
the hub.
Oh, the
It's
hub.
over, where Nowhere Park used to be, they wanted 4 o'clock. And we, original Highlands, Jericho Triangle, and Tyler Park neighborhood, we will rejoin Ray's. So that's a bit, you know.
Nothing against the hub.
Oh, no.
It's simply that, we've got a general consensus that we don't like Dorian licenses because of the violence that tends to follow Dorian licenses.
I understand.
And we're all contiguous with that bar, pretty much.
So.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, in moving forward, there have been, and again, I know it seems like this would all already happen and be legislated and what have you, but the problem with all legislation, local level, what you do on Bardstown Road is community-wide. So that means Metro Council. So the things you're talking about limiting does have impact that go beyond Bardstown Road. So there is a lot to navigate, and that's where Ben has been very successful in making progress so far. Am I correct or incorrect in working with the police on creating or identifying, when you say the word entertainment district, and that entertainment district, it bumps it up the number, how they view it in like weekend activity, they put more officers in an entertainment district?
Yeah, we also refer to it as the Bardstown Road Corridor, but that part of the, if you don't know what it is, it's 4 or 5 officers and sergeant who are concentrating on the bar area, Bardstown Road. on weekends, sometimes through the week as well. Major Grissom has provided that because of the attention it's requiring lately, to enforce whatever they can find to enforce, particularly the cars, the noise. They've had a few car break-ins in the neighborhoods, trying to keep the noise down when they see it or hear it. But that's what the party, that'll continue for a little longer until the weather changes. But those are also great to take off the street, the riding beat to be on that detail, night and weekend. That'll be for a while. That's what.
Yeah.
That's concentration.
No. So again, there has been a lot behind the scenes. Please ask questions. It helps remind us to get some updates, and I will ask Ben to maybe put something together. We can put it in the newsletter about where they're at. All right. Stephanie, we did introductions. We don't leave you out.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for being late. I'm the bad egg.
No, I want to commend anyone who has a full-time business, takes care of a child, and puts up with us. It's outstanding. And she's a board member too.
No, sorry, Stephanie Bradley showed up a little late. I'm the owner of Surprise Boutique, who is celebrating our 1-year anniversary. I'm sure they'll be sharing those promotions and I'll mention it later.
Absolute. Now, in our community reach out program, and trying to work with our local government, Joe Doc, would you please come on up? And he'll explain a little bit his mission and what he's trying to do in dealing with the homeless in our community. Again, it's a community effort. It's taking time to build all these bases, but slowly we're heading in the right direction. And that, again, the social worker, the level of social workers that have been assigned to work with the police department, yeah, you can call in to the number, John.
574-7111.
And that goes, and it brings in a very different level of working with the homeless. So we encourage the business owners to take that number if they're feeling that it's a difficult situation. They have social workers that will come on site to deal with the issues. Oh, come on.
Thank you so
Come
much.
on.
And I'll keep this brief-ish.
Well, we like to see what you got. You're new to us. so-
Of course. All right. So my name is Joel Dock. I'm with Louisville Metro's Office of Planning. I'll wander around. Oh, I got to be right here on the
Well,
camera.
you can wander, as long as that's your point. You can wander
Okay.
and come back.
All right. I like to walk around. I like to move, stay active.
We're very fluid.
Okay. So my name is Joel Dock. I'm with Louisville Metro's Office of Planning. We are the land use and zoning. You've probably heard the word administrators for Louisville, Jefferson County. So we administer the zoning regulations for all of Louisville Metro. That is essentially just at its basic level, what you can do where and how much of it. And so one of the things that you can do places and you can do a certain amount of it is homeless shelters and crisis shelters. And so we received a resolution from the Louisville Metro Council in February of this year to look at as the number of shelter beds available and the number of individuals on the street aren't matching up, and there's fewer beds than there are people that need beds. Louisville Metro's Office of Planning has been tasked with specifically looking at our shelter regulations and our crisis shelter regulations to look at locations and regulations to allow for more shelters with special regulations instead of going through lengthy public hearing processes, and also look at identifying and defining what is and is not a crisis shelter and a temporary crisis shelter. So just a little bit of background on the land use regulations that currently exist in Louisville Metro. In 2010, homeless shelters were defined for the first time. Prior to that, they had been, and shelters are largely concentrated in the downtown area. Prior to 2010, they had fallen under, they were accessory to religious institutions. Maybe they were functioning in other forms. There wasn't a solid licensing process on the local level. And so as a result of a complaint filed with HUD over an expansion of a homeless shelter on East Broadway. Louisville Metro defined homeless shelters for the first time. And we allow for homeless shelters in Louisville Metro with a conditional use permit. That means an individual can apply for a shelter anywhere across Louisville Metro, put in an application, go through the public hearing process, and then they can be approved or denied by the Board of Zoning Adjustment. We have looked at other cities and what other cities are doing with homeless shelters and specifically with crisis shelters. We're seeing different approaches across the country in different locations. Different things that it's really important for me to note that zoning is limited in what it can and can't do in the larger homelessness ecosystem of providing services and resources as the land development code, which are the zoning regulations. Our office doesn't provide funding. The land development code doesn't, we don't pick locations or submit applications. We respond to applications that are submitted on private property for shelter applications. So other cities are doing some interesting work around shelters, allowing for accessory shelters to religious institutions, allowing crisis shelters for human trafficking, domestic violence shelters in more locations than they would allow for a typical just congregate living type shelter or day shelters. Lexington allows for day shelters and warming shelters. Overnight shelters require a little more work. There's a lot of things going on around the country with shelter regulations and providing these services that within our local land use regulations, we don't have enough detail to identify where things like crisis shelters should go, or where maybe homeless shelters can be allowed to with maybe more permissive regulations in areas that we can all agree to as a community are appropriate. So some of the work that we've done so far is we've conducted this research on the peer cities. We've presented to Louisville Metro Council's Planning and Zoning Committee. We've met with service providers. We just completed 5 kind of community conversations where we went to, I believe it was the Northeast Library, Shawnee, South Central, Shively, Bon Air libraries. We presented kind of a background on what other cities are doing, and then we just opened up the floor to have a conversation about what's going on in neighborhoods, what folks are seeing as far as homelessness increases, decreases, demographic shifts and changes, what business owners and community members are seeing around the effects of, shelter locations, or even ancillary services like food pantries and the effect on the community around, maybe the cleanliness of the grounds in the area, things like that. So we just finished up these community conversations. We'll be posting the notes and a summary of all of those conversations, hopefully by Friday. We hope to have some draft regulations out in October that address this specific issue. So what we may see in a draft based on those community conversations is possibly some form of accessory shelters related to religious institutions. We're looking at working with Resiliency or Revitalization and Community Services, or RCS, and the Office of Housing, specifically on what is and what is not a white flag day. So we have shelters that are legally in operation and they can go above their occupancy on certain days. Right now, it's just high heat events and cold events. There's a lot of other weather events where people need shelter. Severe weather, tornadoes. That's probably a time where we should let people get indoors, no matter what the occupancy of the shelter is. So we'll be working hard on identifying what we can do with these temporary crisis shelters. Are there organizations that would like to provide this crisis environment on a temporary basis, but not full-time shelters that can go through maybe a minimal licensing process with fire department approval to provide this in a severe weather event or maybe to provide, you know, an immediate service to somebody fleeing from domestic violence or a human trafficking event. I can send some information back to the group on contact information, but the best way to get comments to me is by email. You can call my office. I can be reached at 574-5860. That's my direct line number. And I'll provide other ways to provide comment. But once we release a draft of regulations, we typically hold those out for about 30 days while we allow public comment before we go through a public hearing and public meeting process. And so it will go through a couple layers of planning commission and then several layers of Metro Council before being acted on. Homeless shelters, because of their potential for impact on residential zoning districts, because religious organizations may be in residential districts. It's also held up by a state moratorium on land use changes in House Bill 388, which pauses land use changes in residential districts until at least April of 2025. So we won't see any law changes until after that time. At that point, I'm happy to open it up to any questions. I'd like to, you know, get ideas from you all on where you think an appropriate location for a shelter is, and I don't want to take up the rest of the meeting, so I'm happy to follow up with any group or organization afterwards.
Could you briefly address the collaboration between the city and the Volunteers of America with this fantastic new facility that's coming in South Broadway?
I wish I had more information on that, but it's not my area of expertise. And because we administer the zoning regulations, we're not actively, you know, with respect to that collaboration, that work, the building with, I believe that's the Hope Village, the VOA. Beyond just that, it's going to be a community facility and it's going to be operated in partnership. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they provide medical respite. That's another thing that shelters, you know, when you ask for a conditional use permit for a shelter, you're not allowed to provide any of those accessory services. It's specifically not allowed to provide like medical respite and things like that, and other services that are so important to ensure that individuals seeking shelter have those wraparound services. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big deal. It's just not my area. Yes.
I've been hearing talk about some kind of affordable housing, our homeless shelters being converted, like an apartment building being converted into that, Douglas Boulevard.
That's Wellspring. It's Wellspring. I can answer that question. Wellspring purchased property on Douglas Boulevard, and they're supplying case managed housing for their clients. They've been able to access some of the federal funding so that on lower Barrett Avenue, on Douglas Boulevard, and some other places, the Wellspring always has that fight of not in my neighborhood, but they are I don't represent them, but they're a very good organization. And when you have case managed supportive housing, it helps people be successful.
And that's permanent supportive housing, correct? It's not so it's not a shelter.
Permanent housing.
Yeah, there is so much else that goes into that larger ecosystem of getting people into housing, getting people into safe and secure housing. Permanent supportive housing with wraparound services is really important. Yes.
The zoning, do you work like with other aspects, like coordinate with other aspects of like the bigger housing issue that's here in Louisville? I know, I didn't know that zoning with building in other areas, multi-family units, if you coordinate with them. What I'm seeing at the library, people become homeless for a number of reasons, but I'm seeing more and more people who weren't homeless now with the housing market. They can't afford to find a place now. I mean, it's becoming homeless, people who weren't before. And so I didn't know if there's any coordination with getting more housing period in Louisville with what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have been immensely involved in, the land development code regulates what you can do, where and how much of it. So what type of home you can do and where you can do it and how much of it. So can you do a duplex? Can you do a triplex? Can you do a large multifamily development? Can you provide permanent supportive housing? We have been intimately involved in this work of housing choice and opportunity through our land development code reform project. That really began in earnest in the summer of 2020 with a resolution from the Louisville Metro Council directing us to take a hard look, an equity-focused look at our land development code to identify barriers within the land development code that restrict the delivery of housing and the delivery of housing choices and opportunities in all areas of Louisville Metro, not just one area over another. And one of the, a couple things that we've done in the housing area is allow for accessory dwelling units. So that's a second small home on your property, granny flat, mother-in-law suite. It could be a basement conversion, a second floor conversion. It can be a carriage house on top of a garage. That is a regulation change as of 2021 to allow accessory dwelling units in all single family zoning districts. So it opened up another housing opportunity in all districts. In the Highlands, you're very familiar with what accessory dwelling units are in carriage houses and Cherokee Triangle, of course. And currently we are pursuing a concept called middle housing, or everything in between your single family detached home and your large multifamily development. Your duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, cottage courts, walking courts. So think Maplewood Place, Ivanhoe Court. Think the really great kind of courtyard building over here on Everett. That's actually, it's you walk back in it. It's one of our shining examples of what is middle housing. It's multiple units on a property that's consistent with single family zoning. So you're consistent with single family homes. So you see it throughout older neighborhoods that came up before zoning took effect in 1931. You see a lot of the older neighborhoods have an amazing stock of middle housing that is illegal now. And so it's allowing for middle housing as a process of legalization of alternative forms of housing in neighborhoods where they currently exist, and also allowing for different housing choices and opportunities in new and growing areas. So that if someone someone that works at Ford that wants to live in a townhouse or a duplex, there's an opportunity allowed through our zoning, and we don't create that barrier that prevents the market from responding to people's housing needs.
Well, Joel, can I thank you enough for being here, and he will be here a little bit after the meeting.
Yes, thank you all.
I believe we should have a little response or communication on how we can win through, since we deal with the homeless issue.
So Aaron told me I was speaking to you this morning 5 minutes ago.
We just had that type of relationship. I'd be surprised if you thought it would.
It's dangerous to let me behind a podium. So there are 13 community ministries in Louisville, and we are bound by the Association of Community Ministries. Our mission is to prevent homelessness. So the community ministries all have 3 things that we do. We provide emergency financial assistance, and we provide food assistance. Now, Highlands Community Ministries provides a lot of other programming. But if you go to the Association of Community Ministries website, ministriesoflouisville.org, and you put in an address, it will tell you which community ministry will serve you for rental assistance, emergency financial assistance for LG&E and Louisville Water. Now, rental assistance, housing assistance, money is hard to come by. So that's why we fundraise. There's no source for that support other than private donations and supportive congregations using the community ministry model. LG&E and the Louisville Water Company foundations provide money to us to distribute, to pay water bills and LG&E bills. It's amazing. They give us money and we give it right back to them, but it prevents cutoffs and it saves all of us money by having people's lights on. And most lease agreements require that you have utilities in place or you can be evicted. So you can, if you pay your rent, but you don't pay your electric bill, many people can be evicted for that. So also LG&E provides winter help. So when you pay your LG&E bill, if you notice, there's like, do you want to donate to winter help? Winter help money is collected from the public and then is passed through to the community ministries, okay? So those are things that community ministries do. We do not technically serve the homeless, but I will tell you, we serve them every day. If you are in a homeless shelter at 8 o'clock, you have to leave and you cannot leave anything behind. And then you have to be back at 5 o'clock to be readmitted. And if you're not there at 5 o'clock, your bed is given to someone else. And it's not your bed anyway, because you can't take anything with you. You have to take everything with you. So when people say, why do I see so many homeless people or so many people asking for money in the Highlands? It's because of two reasons. One, the Highlands is a safe, generous neighborhood. It's a progressive neighborhood where people have compassion for people who are homeless. But secondly, they have nowhere else to be. So they go to the library, they come to Highlands Community Ministries. We will help people with food at Highlands Community Ministries, even though they can't prove address. But we can only help them with fresh produce and breads and things that are donated from the grocery stores and from neighbors, because a can of beans doesn't help them out any, particularly if it doesn't have a pop top. So when you're making donations to Highlands Community Ministries Food Pantry, please donate things that people can use without cooking. Through our Dare to Care partnerships, we get all the beans and lentils and things that are house staple goods that you can cook. And we give those to families who need that. But if you want to help us help homeless folks eat, then you need to donate things that they can eat, fruit cups, whatever. I would encourage all of you to keep in your car a gallon Ziploc bag with some hand sanitizer, a fruit cup, and a granola bar, and a toothbrush. When you go to the dentist, get all the little samples you can and give those to people, because they can't keep them. They can only keep on them what they can carry. So that is why people also choose to sleep out. And so now it's illegal to sleep out. So the jails, so I mean, it's not very well, it was the state, but there are rules around how long people can be. Private property, the property owner has to call and have and ask people to be removed. If it's under an underpass, that's the federal highway system. And they have I think it's every 2 weeks or maybe every 3 weeks that those can be cleared. The railroad underpasses, I think it's 30 days. So people learn that if they're under the underpass, they have 30 days of housing stability in their tent, and then it will get removed. So there's just a lot of complexity. A lot of federal money is going to homeless shelters being built, but you just heard the complexity of what that means, because I can't just build one tomorrow, even if I had the money. And a lot of neighborhoods would be like, not in mine. So interurban neighborhoods like the Highlands are places where homeless folks find their temporary stability. But when you get to downtown, that's where the shelters and things are being developed. But there are no services and there's no people there. So they leave the shelter and they have to go somewhere. If you're in a shelter at Wayside, think about what's on Jefferson Street. You can't afford to go to any of the restaurants in Nulu, so you're going to hike one way or the other to get to where you can afford to be. So I'm sorry to sound like the grumpy old man that I am, but we have a crisis. Work is being done to build more sheltering. And the city's working with nonprofits to make that happen. But it takes time. So Hope Village isn't done. It's still a hope. We're still working on that. And a lot of organizations like Wellspring take people out of homelessness and put them into housing. But if you've never managed housing, you have to remember to do a lot of stuff, right? You manage your home, right? You have to pay your bill. And if you don't have internet, it's difficult to access a lot of the services that are available, and that's why libraries are important. So Highlands Community Ministries and the other 12 community ministries are in the city to prevent homelessness. That's what we're trying to do. But we do serve homeless folks, those of us who have community centers and food pantries, because we believe everyone should be fed. So think about how you can make a difference, to be quite honest, whether that's donating to community ministries, whether that is donating to other groups that support the homeless, the Coalition of the Homeless, lots of organizations that they bring together. The only place you can stay in shelter during the day is the Women and Children's Shelter or Wayside. And there is a women's shelter across from the Omni on the Church of the Episcopal Church property that allow people to stay during the day. And there are some youth shelters operated by the YMCA that are safe spaces where people can go during the day, but they can't shelter there overnight. So it's a very complicated system that is very hard to negotiate. And a lot of people, if they have mental health issues or addiction issues, they just simply can't do it. And that's why we find them in the Highlands, and we find them in other parts of town, sleeping out or just wandering during the day. And if you don't have an address, you can't get a job because you have to provide an address and you need to take a shower. It's an overwhelming problem. And because rents are so high, I mean, we're helping people with rental assistance, but do you know what a rental apartment is in the Highlands? It's $1,200 for a one-bedroom apartment. And if you want to get that apartment, you need your first month's rent and a full deposit and your utility deposits. So, see, you're sorry you had me come up now, aren't you?
No, the reason why again, mood enhancement, you are educating the population. There is a homeless issue in our community. It's taken many attempts to handle it. So we have a multiple level system that's being developed. You mentioned about, to my understanding, the facility, what's the one that's downtown they just opened up at the old Baker place?
It hasn't opened, but it's Hope Village. It's
Hope
coming,
Village.
yeah.
So Hope Village is supposedly able to provide an address for people. who
Right.
are homeless.
Well, St. John Center provides an address. They provide a mailing address for people.
Okay.
So there are, there's options.
And then I do know the Cherokee Triangle, among others, have done food drives. And so I'm sure that if you all use your creativity, there's ways that the Highlands can support the Highlands. Thank you, Troy. All right. We have a lot of things going on in the area, and with the weather change brings on Cycle Via. And Mr. King is here to promote the excitement, the mood enhancement, and maybe give us some updates about what's happening on Bardstown Road when different things are supposed to happen.
Sure. Morning, everybody. My name is Mike King. I'm with Louisville Metro's Office of Advanced Planning. I tend to visit you all annually about this time of year to, sorry to tell. Good. Talk about a cool event that's happening that nobody knows how to pronounce called Cyclovia. Show of hands. Is anybody not familiar with Cyclovia in the room? All right. Thank you for being honest. I appreciate it. I bet there's some others out here as well. So Cyclovia is an event that we as the city started in 2012, right here in the Highlands, as kind of our testing ground, where we, on a random Sunday afternoon in October, come out and close the street to cars and open it up as what we like to describe as sort of a linear park for the day. So it's an opportunity for folks to come out and really enjoy all the awesomeness that is the Highlands, and use the infrastructure that we as a city have in a different way. So people come out, they ride bikes, they walk, they bring their dogs, bring their kids. All kinds of different fun stuff happens. Usually, I would say a couple thousand people or so tend to show up every year for it. And the Highlands is so good at this event because it is such a great commercial corridor in this community. So that's why it's really important to come and talk to the Highlands Commerce Guild, because the businesses along the corridor are what makes Cyclovia and the Highlands so special. So we always encourage any businesses to open up during that day. I know Sunday afternoons or sometimes some people's downtimes or off times, but it's a great opportunity to let new people that are coming to the area see your business at a little bit more leisurely of a stroll than driving through the area. Also, anything you want to do to come out and kind of take over the sidewalk. People do bubble machines, some people have music out there, free samples, even just out there waving, saying hi and introducing yourself. Any of that is great and helps support the events. If there is anything you would like to do in particular, I've got a bunch of cool, very autumn colored posters over here, in addition to some business cards. So feel free to reach out to me and we'll make sure to promote whatever you're going to do during the event on social media. This year's event will be October 20th, which is a Sunday afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. It will go from Douglas up to Grinstead Drive. Eastern Parkway will remain facilitated to be open. So basically the street will be closed, but there will be police officers and traffic officers at Eastern Parkway. And as cars tend to build up a little bit at Eastern Parkway, they'll stop all the people that are enjoying Bardstown Road just for a little bit, let the cars and the buses and all of those things cycle through. But everything else in between there will just be open for people to come out and have some fun. So please, we'll be canvassing the area over the next couple of weeks, handing out posters. And again, if anybody is interested in doing anything at all for the event, please reach out to me and let me know. We'll make sure to promote that for you. Any questions about Cyclovia?
Now, in the fall, there are some improvements. Do you have any idea what they're doing?
So I talked with another hat that I wear for Metro government. I do a lot of transportation related projects. So the next phase of the Bardstown Road safety improvements, similar to what was done basically from Bonnie Castle up to Broadway, that next phase KYTC is looking to do. They are in design right now of exactly what that's going to look like. They intend to put it out for bid in spring of 2025 with construction to start then in the summer. The only funding that's there right now is for striping. So basically they're going to restripe Bardstown Road from Bonnie Castle up to Douglas to mimic what has happened along the rest of the corridor. The concrete bump outs and things like that, Louisville Metro through various agencies and elected officials are looking at ways to try and supplement some of the dollars they had for the repaving of Bardstown Road and the restriping to add some more of those concrete bump outs and things like that that have dramatically slowed traffic down in the other section of the corridor. Yeah, right.
They're going to be able to apply any of the lessons learned on the first phase, like bike lanes that go in the bump outs, for example?
There are no bike lanes on Bardstown Road right now. The little strip that you see painted on there, while some think it's a bike lane, it's actually just a buffer. So when people park their cars, they can open their door and have a little bit of wiggle room and not get their door ripped off. The good but challenging part of Bardstown Road is Bardstown Road's so built out and it's built up to the street. So there's only so much room to do so many things on the roadway, and something had to give over time. Unfortunately, as we originally did this sort of community-driven plan for the Bardstown Road corridor in terms of what it looks like going forward, something had to give, and there's just not an opportunity to be able to add good, safe bicycling infrastructure along the corridor. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I love the changes that are being done. It's wonderful. But I was just curious, is the data showing that safety is improving and car crashes or?
It is. Usually we like to take, I think it's about 5 years to really let people get used to it and things like that. The initial findings, I'm not allowed to officially say, but I will say it's a stark improvement of both the number of crashes and the severity of crashes and who's in those crashes in terms of pedestrians. When we originally did this plan, we utilize what was called a critical crash rate factor. So basically what that is you look at roads throughout the state that are aligned similarly in terms of number of cars to go through there, how it's striped, posted speed limits, those things. And then it assigns a number for what that is equal to others. Anything above 1 is dangerous. That means that means it's operating at a more dangerous capacity than similar roadways. A lot of parts of Barstown Road were like a 3, which is off the charts dangerous. So the initial data is showing some very good improvements. We're looking at some other streets as well to, I think in some ways, the people that like to drive really fast are maybe looking at some other areas to get through here. So we're going to do the same to some other streets and slow people down.
All right, we have time for one more question. Do what there?
I said I need to speak.
Sure.
We've been rejected. We are the Bardstown Road bypass. But another question based on what you're doing, would you please have them focus on bus stops? We are terrible in the Highlands about parking in bus
Sure.
stops. And they are marked, they have seating. We've spent years developing that on Bardstown Road, that every time you had a business, they had to put in a bus shelter. And there was a reason for that, so people could have access to public transit. Is in crisis right now, and we are doing it no favors by the police looking the other way. I'm sorry, and they don't ticket people. People park all the time in bus stops on Bardstown Road. It's an abomination.
Is it happening as much with the section that was redone a few years ago as it was
No,
previously?
because they have striped those out.
Right, that's what I'm
And
saying.
back before then, we did, if you've seen the brick changes,
Right.
that was the Tomo and Deborah. That was that era, but it worked.
Okay.
And we had bus shelters. But now we have a lot of places that people just, little bitty sign, and they go, oh, yeah, I go to the farmer's market every Saturday. I have to go 20 minutes early, put an orange cone in the middle of the bus stop, people park in it for 5 hours. So that's a real critical thing for people trying to access their transit, and it ain't good now. But if you can't get to the bus because you're handicapped or visually impaired or whatever, that's a crisis situation for our company.
Wholeheartedly agree. The striped areas are working better though, you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I would love to see it.
Even elevated from there, and I will make sure the KYTC hears that.
But you know, even artistic ways of doing it.
Sure.
I know they don't love that stuff,
No, they don't.
but if you can do it in LA, you can do it here. And I'm sorry that you have to celebrate transit, you have to celebrate crosswalks, or people just run you over.
Agreed.
And that's the way the city acts. So anyway, that's fine.
Shooting my
Well,
hole.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You could, yeah.
Running out of time, but you can talk. Mr. King will be available after the meeting. Cynthia Riccini. Please come up. You. Now, let me just say, in this honor, you talk about Bardstown Road corridor, you talk about the challenges of opening businesses, reusing older buildings for a new cause. Several of us stopped by a grand opening that you were participating in, and I must say, somebody knows how to set the tone. So if this doesn't enhance your mood, I don't know what will. Come on up.
Well, thank you, Aaron. My name is Shanika Racine. I am part owner of CNR Beauty Bar. My co-owner is Rika O'Bannon. We have been open in the Highlands since 2015, and we recently moved to 2550 Taylorsville Road. June 1 was our first day there. We specialize in natural and curly hair, any type of texture. However, we kind of consider ourselves a little old school. Y'all see the gray hair. So we do everything, and we kind of pride ourselves on being able to service all kinds of clients. We really, truly have a passion for what we do. In addition to styling hair, cutting hair, coloring hair, we also, from time to time, we taught on a national level, like at hair shows, but we'll also hold seminars for the community for, what's the word I'm looking for? For some of our clients who want to know more about how to deal with their natural and textured hair. Because we can't be at your house every day to style your hair. So we like to equip people to know how to do that. I think that's about it. We have enjoyed being in the Highlands for almost 10 years. So with the grand opening celebration that Mark and Aaron and Nick were so gracious to attend, it kind of culminated, it brought us into our 9th year of business. So we've been in the Highlands for almost 10 years. It seemed like the blink of an eye, but it's been great and we've loved it. We also, me and my business partner, we also went to hair school in the Highlands. If any of you remember, what'd you say? We remember hair design school. And now I think it's the Louisville Beauty Academy, which I'm not even sure it's actually open and functioning, but we've been within the Highlands for a really long time. So we've really enjoyed it. Yes, ma'am.
Could you give us an idea where you are on the landmark?
We are in the old pharmacy, Donald Stern's building. If anybody's familiar with Stern Pharmacy, yeah. Yeah, on the same side of the street as Morris Deli. Yeah. There you go. No, ma'am, it's a standalone building, the big parking lot right across the street from the really close to that. Yep.
The post office, go around the alley, come back, you drop off mail where you come out, that's coaches, the third pharmacy.
So thank you for inviting us.
Excited, upcoming.
We don't have anything planned. However, we would truly like to be involved in the Bardstown Road to Glow, maybe be a stopping point for Santa Claus to come through, even though we're a little bit off of the beaten path. Thank you. We're a little bit off of the beaten path of Bardstown Road. We think we could draw some people in, some fun stuff.
Cannot thank you enough. Just getting to see what you all have been able to do, it should inspire everyone here, let alone continued success. I mean, you're showing, as many people have, the possibilities are there. It just takes determination. You too have it.
Well, thank you so much. I like to invite anybody to just stop in. If you want to see the place, come in and book an appointment. Follow us on Instagram, social media. So,
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of Bardstown Road to Glow, very quickly, Nick does have forms if people want to fill out. It's very important for us. We are starting early this year because we've had so many positive changes. And part of it, the biggest thing is Maker's Mark is our primary sponsor. And what the excitement is, we worked with them in the past, but because of a positive working relationship with different people over the years, as soon as they knew that we were available for a new sponsorship, they stepped up to the bar. So I cannot, pun intended, thank you, but I cannot thank you all enough for the roller coaster ride that we have endured. But with that, I think you're going to see some excitement. Cyclovia is a good getting the area cleaned up. I said in October, we do area cleanup coming up. So that's one thing in the up and coming news. We have 2 trolleys this year. Trolley DeVille. They are coming on board this year and working with us to resolve a people pedestrian movement. And again, they're bringing 2 trolleys online, cannot thank them enough. So as we progress on this, please, if you have family, friends, relatives, or a well-known favorite business, please give them a form to fill out. This is our 38th year, and we're looking to have it bigger, better, and safer. Now, I promised along the way about our shameless promotions, and I think Ann has a very hot one.
That full family festival this Saturday in the Park on the 28th. Lulu's going to come in, now, there's a dreadful rumor that it's going to bloody well rain. So obviously we'll cancel, but please come. If you've got a business, can you stick it in your window? Can you do that around?
Now, we still have our $25 drawing, but is there any, sure. Sure. Mary,
One thing.
yes.
I own business where Against the Grain is, which is closed, as you know, but it's not because they didn't love the Highlands, but they're expanding their, group. So, anyway, but the exciting part is, we have a fellow that approached us from Indiana, who came in, Joe Phillips, he has the same kind of concept, but he always wanted to come back to the Highlands because him and his wife, he had a Cumberland group, and we're engaged up on the second floor. So they will be the new owners. It's a mom operation, 2 sons, and we have a good group that's coming into Against the Grain, our focus city, right next to Afrikaansa.
All right. So it's what will be their specialty?
It's sort of the same concept, I'm sure, a different menu than
Okay.
what, because he has his own chef that he's had for forever.
Okay.
So it'll be food and drinks and they're looking at, doing the interior. They asked the other day if they could paint, and I said, you can paint. So they said they wanted to brighten it up, so it'll be a different concept, but it's gonna be a wonderful new spot.
Opening date?
He hasn't told us yet, Against the Grain, their last is October 7th, they'll be out.
Okay.
But Joe has already started in and they're working together.
Wonderful.
Revitalizing. You know, I think he has a full liquor license. I'm not sure though. So, we haven't gotten into the details of everything, but they were really excited about coming to the Highlands, and I think it's gonna be a good fit. So this is a restaurant versus a pub. Is a restaurant bar, kind of like Against the Grain was. They serve, it was more of a pub. Craft beer atmosphere. Just wanted to know. I don't know. I got into the details. He just came and, I mean, I hadn't even closed, against, with the last tenant. And he said, I really want to take this space, and this is why. This is where my wife and I met. We've always wanted to be in the Highlands. We have a wonderful spot in Indiana, but want to be back in the Highlands. And he said it was just a perfect fit for him. And I asked, he said, yes, food and liquor, but it's a mom and pop operation. So it's him and his wife running it, and it sounds like a very healthy spot for him. So the more I know, and next time, hopefully I'll bring in Joe and you all can meet him and ask him questions.
We'd love to have him. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Oh, is Light Up Louisville the same night again?
We are in a ongoing discussion. The mayor is very aware of our objection. Ben is involved directly with their government resource officer. And the bottom line is, well, I have to laugh too. To me, it is silly to even have this discussion. But Ben has told them you can have any date but that date. And so I've asked for updates. They're still in discussions. The only response I've been told is that the mayor will be out of town during their traditional time that they used to do it. So that date is off the table. But we've encouraged them to do it on a Friday or a Sunday versus compete with us. And thank you for asking, because we are still working through it. And I have asked Maker's Mark to make their wishes known. So we're trying our best to be polite, but honestly, there's no reason that we have to put up with this, but that's welcome to life. And I love our mayor, don't get me wrong. Some people just don't have common sense on certain issues. And Bardstown Road aglow, 38 years, same date, same time, location. God bless America. Go, girl.
All right, next discussion here, Stephanie Piper, and we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary Friday. So please come out to the shop at 10:30. We're gonna do like a ceremonial little celebration, and then from 3 to 6, we're gonna have sweets and sips. So a fun little event. We have, what's the name again? Surprise Lily Boutique. Yes.
It's next to Casito Cookies.
Right next to the cookies with the fun flower on it. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun little promotions, great discounts. Commonwealth Candle, which is a woman-owned business here in Louisville, is actually making us a signature candle scent. So we're gonna be bringing those into the shop. But we hope you join us. It's gonna be a lot of fun, but we're very excited. Hopefully we will have 10-year tenure at some point, but we're on one and it's been going great so far. Yes, next Friday. October.
Okay, 4th, October 4th.
Yes.
All right.
Thank
Gotcha.
you, Aaron.
Oh, thank you. I know that you all holding your breath for us to do a draw. 1 second, tell me quick. You can do it.
Shameless self-promotion, right?
I'm waiting on you, Ray.
Our Neighborhood Association is holding the fourth of our Sundays in September concerts this Sunday, 7 o'clock in the Tyler Park. We're going to have the Louisville, big band. One members are going to be cranking out swing music, so.
All right.
5
Ladies and gentlemen, look, listen up now. Contain yourself. Let's start drawing, that way anyone needs to go to can, we always here for networking, so please don't rush away. Or not.
Okay,
Love potion.
before we announce the winner, I have one announcement to make. We're piggybacking an event with Cyclovia on Saturday, the Saturday before Cyclovia, which is the 19th, they are the 20th. We're gonna have a cleanup in the Highlands. It's the fall cleanup, right side cleanup. And as you all know, most of you know, we do 2 cleanups every year, the spring and the fall. So the fall will get the Highlands shined up for the Cyclovia, and hopefully there will be very little or no trash as people are out walking, riding their bikes and scooters and what have you. So that is October 19th. It is the Saturday before Cyclovia. And also, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, we meet 10 a.m. at Mid-City Mall. It's from 10 a.m. till noon. And also neighborhoods are welcome to come up and get supplies. If they want to do an event in their own neighborhoods, we will have T-shirts, gloves, and bags available for anyone who would like to come up to the Mid-City Mall and get some supplies. So with that being said, I would like to thank Shamika of CNR very, very much for providing the $25 gift certificate today. And I think we can all stand to visit on occasion to a beauty bar. And the good thing about it is you don't have to worry about the drive home. So without further ado, the number 9 winner happens to be Deanna O'Daniel.
Excuse me.
All right.
No, she up the ante behind her back. This is $50 gift card.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're here, we're available, have a good time. You got any trash? Please put the trash.